Hey, I'm Randy, and you're watching The Cheap Audio Man. Here at The Cheap Audio Man, we talk about high-value hi-fi, home theater, and headphone equipment. And today, we're talking about the Dayton Audio MK602X. It's a $150 pair of speakers with a 6-inch woofer. So are these as good as my beloved Sony? I don't know. Grab a cup of coffee, sit down, and let's talk about the Dayton Audio MK602X. Today's sponsor is the Weem Mini Streamer. For less than $100, one gets Apple AirPlay 2, Bluetooth Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect. It plays gaplessly. It is also one of the easiest streamers to get up and running. Download the app and it'll guide you through everything, and in less than 2 minutes you're gonna have streaming music. The Weem Mini Streamer for less than $100. It is the best deal in streaming. Links are in the description in the pinned comment. The MK602X. These come from Parts Express. That's actually harder to say than you think. Parts Express. If you're into building speakers at all, you probably have heard of Parts Express. They have their own line of speakers. Those are Dayton Audio. They also have Dayton Audio branded amplifiers, all sorts of stuff. If you've never been to Parts Express, you should go check them out because they have a lot of stuff. The 602X has a, 6-inch woven, a lot of times I like to say woven fiber woofer, and a 1-inch soft dome tweeter. They're rated at 4 ohms nominal impedance, have a sensitivity rating of 87 dB, and have a rated frequency response between 45 Hertz up to 20,000 Hertz. The grill goes on via posts just like this, and then comes off just like that. Overall, the build quality is pretty typical from what I have seen out of Dayton Audio. Not necessarily from the construction or the rigidity of the enclosure, but from the finish of the enclosure. A little bit of the enclosure, the vinyl wrap, kind of coming up. I saw the same thing from their $60 speakers, has a little AMT tweeter in it. Overall, the build quality is okay. And at $150, I think we need to have reasonable expectations. However, these are actually sitting on the JBL Stage A130s. Also, the Sony SSCS5s are around the same price, and both of those have a bit better build quality, especially when it comes to the vinyl wrap. On the back, you have a rear port, which is flared, and then regular old 5-way binding posts. Not the best, but again, for $150, they work just fine. Internally, it's got a crossover. And Dayton Audio and Parts Express, really, that's their wheelhouse. They do crossovers. So when I saw it had a sensitivity of 87 dB, I was actually excited. Because when the sensitivity comes down, it usually means the designer is bringing the tweeter level or the tweeter sensitivity down to what the woofer sensitivity is. And that's good because generally one will get a balanced sound signature. As you can see, they have a bit of a beveled edge. As far as soundstage and imaging, they do okay. With a speaker this small, generally one has a lot of placement options and can tow them in and out as they see fit. And with that, you can get very good soundstage and imaging out of a speaker. Most speakers, really. These didn't excel at soundstage and imaging, but they're in line with the rest of the competition at the price point. Like the Yamaha S801s, I think, maybe 803s. 803s, that's it. And as you can see, there's not a huge deep waveguide here, but they do just fine. In a desktop application, you can really get into them and have a really good soundstage experience. Soundstage and imaging is just fine. Let's talk about bass. With a reported frequency response of 45 Hertz, I had high expectations of the bass quantity on this speaker. Well, when I turned them on, I didn't really get as much bass out of them as I thought I would. Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys really didn't give any impression of how deep that song. Killing Strangers by Marilyn Manson also was not punchy at all. However, as far as quality of the bass, it was there. There is clarity within the bass. Miles Davis, So What? The bass sounded very clear and plucky. That has more to do with the mid-range and treble. The lower frequencies had a lot of clarity in them. The good news is the bass on these is not bloated at all and sounds pretty darn good. If you're looking for bass quantity, this speaker is probably not going to be the one for you. However, since there's not a ton of bass here, you can get these really close to the wall and it's not going to muddy up things at all. And if you plan on getting a subwoofer, then it doesn't really matter. Bass quality on these are good, bass quantity is lacking. 45 hertz, I didn't measure them obviously, but I've heard a lot of other speakers that go down to 45 hertz, and the Dayton Audios don't sound anything like those do. Let's talk about mid-range. For me, mid-range is really where these speakers excelled. There is a ton of clarity and detail. Male vocals and female vocals alike seemed natural, neither stepped forward or stepped back, neither warm nor cool. Mumford & Sons, There Will Be Time with Baba Omal or Ball, very good. Hosier, Take Me to Church, his voice was remarkable through these speakers. Lena Hall, Creep, also very good. And at the 2-minute and 20-second mark, these speakers actually handled that song fairly well. If a speaker is a bit forward, that song at 2 minutes and 20 seconds can really show the limitations of a speaker. For a $150 speaker, the Daytons handled that song well. Overall, I think mid-range is probably this speaker's strong suit. Let's talk about treble. Treble. Initially, these speakers seemed, well, a bit thin. They still are a bit lacking on the bottom end, but it seemed like there's a lot of emphasis on the treble. With that said, the treble is fairly good after a while, kind of after things settle down a bit. Cymbal decay is excellent. Africa, the Weezer cover of Africa was very good. Cymbals hung out in the air. Again, fairly natural tone to the cymbals. Nina Simone, Centerman, the 16th notes were crisp, clear, again, natural. Sibilance. So, Alanis Morissette, Uninvited, that song can be very sibilant. These displayed a bit of that, but that's not a bad thing because other speakers in this price category really put that sibilance on display. Sibilance was more controlled through the Daytons. It's still there a bit. I read a review where it said there was a big rise at 10K and that it can cause these speakers to be bright. Really at 10K, you're getting into the air. So I actually like that there's a rise at 10K. I didn't particularly hear it, but these do sound similar to another speaker I know that has a designed rise at 10K. That is not brightness area on a speaker. If anything, that adds to the ambience. Brightness really happens in the upper mid-range, around the 15 to 2K area, and that's what causes fatigue. So overall, I think these speakers have a very good top end. What are my final thoughts? Final thoughts for the Dayton Audio MK602X. Pretty good speaker. Mid-range throughout the treble I think is excellent. If you're after a lot of bass amount, if you're after a lot of bass presence, probably not the speaker for you. I wish the build quality, I wish the vinyl wrap was done a little bit better. I wish these were actually a little bit cheaper. However, Parts Express almost always has coupon codes. So chances are you can probably get these for $135 or less. They also have free shipping. They also have a 60-day return policy. If you can get a coupon, if you know that there's not a ton of bass in these speakers, I think this is a speaker to consider, especially if you're into a lot of acoustic music or you want great vocals, great top end, at a very fair price. I think the Dayton Audios should be something to look at. These actually don't have as forward of a mid-range as the Sony SSCS5 or really even the JBL Stage A130. And with the soft dome tweeter, I think you're getting more natural tonality on the top end. With the lack of bass, I think you could mount these on the wall and not even have to plug the port. I put some little foam bumpers on it though, so it's not rattling around. The Yamaha S803, I think you're getting more of a speaker there, but that's more of a U-shaped. I think you're getting a more refined mid-range and top end from the Dayton Audio. But there's a lot of competition at this price. Dayton Audio has a ton of other speakers to look at. They even have a transmission line tower version. I think they're doing a lot of cool stuff at Dayton Audio. They know how to make crossovers, that's for sure. So if you're looking for a fairly balanced speaker throughout the mid-range into the treble up to that 10K area, but that's a good thing. A rise at 10K is nice. Give these a while to break in. They settle down after a while of listening. I think in a desktop situation with a subwoofer, I think these can be brilliant. But again, there's other speakers out there that can be brilliant as well. Overall, I have no problem recommending the Dayton Audio MK602X if you know what you're getting yourself into. So if you want to support the channel, you can sign up for Patreon, patreon.com/cheapaudioman. Every Sunday night we have Patreon-only Zooms. We also have a Patreon-only Facebook group. You can also sign up for Amazon Music or Tidal. There are links in the description. If you click on the link and sign up, I do get a couple of dollars. You can also buy the Dayton Audio MK602X. That will be an affiliate link, which means if you click on it and you buy these speakers, I will get a commission. So don't binge watch anything on Netflix or Hulu. Binge listen, trademark, through your new Dayton Audio MK602X and fill your soul with happiness. And with that, I'm Randy. I'm the Cheap Audio Man.